Welcome back to the Moving to Japan podcast. I'm your host, Ziv Nakajima again. And if you're new here, this podcast is dedicated to all of you out there who are either in the process of or thinking about relocating to the land of the rising sun, as well as for those among you who are in the business of relocating others to Japan. So HR managers, global mobility managers, business owners whose business or part of their business is to help employees and their families move to, work, and settle here. Whether you're coming here or relocating employees here for a short period of time or as far as the eye can see, this podcast is for you. We're going to be talking about everything from the move itself to daily life, culture and language barriers and nuances, the logistics of it all, and much, much more. Pick the brain of various industry leaders and experts in their field, all around this topic of moving to Japan. All right, so for today's episode, we've got a guest who's very dear to our hearts. His name is Hiroshi Shimizu. He's an immigration lawyer living and working here in Fukuoka City, best city in the world, hands down, by the way. Definitely consider it as one of your potential destinations if you're planning on moving here at any point. So Shimizu-san is an immigration lawyer, and he's helped so many of our clients and acquaintances over the years that I've honestly lost count. And we pick his brains about everything related to visas that one could possibly get or sponsor for expat employees here in Japan, which should be a super valuable insight for anyone seeking to hire overseas talent or set up shop and bring in said talent here. So we first learn about a bit of his own personal background, his origin story, if you will, how he ended up doing what he's doing, what are some of the challenges he deals with on a regular basis, and what gets him out of bed in the morning. And then we dive right into the nitty-gritty stuff, the barriers that people relocating here run into, the different types of visas available to various people in different circumstances who want to move here. How does visa sponsorship work for employers who want to, again, bring in overseas talent or open a branch office or new company here in Japan, as well as those who already have an established presence here, but for one reason or another need to bring in overseas employees. So what are the sponsors' obligations, if any, who can qualify for sponsorship, and what types of companies can sponsor? And then we break down the most popular independent visa, the business management visa. What does it take to get one, how to continuously continue renewing it, and then finally how to switch over to permanent residency and when. We also talk about what kinds of businesses qualify for this visa. Spoiler alert, investing in real estate is actually one of the worst ways to do it. And how does the process work? And then we also talk about some of the less known visas like the highly skilled professional, the startup visa, the yearly retirement or holiday visa as it's called, and other options, Japanese language requirements, student visas, you name it. So a real deep, well-rounded conversation that I think will be of great value to anyone listening in who's interested in moving to Japan or bringing people into Japan. Enjoy the chat, and I'll see you again on the other side. Okay, so let me put myself in the camera. Shimizu-san, long time no see.
Yeah,
you're very busy recently, right?
Right, yeah, luckily, so I was so busy, yeah.
So before we talk about visas and immigration and all of that, can you tell our listeners a little bit about who you are, where you come from, how you ended up in Fukuoka City, what did you study, what do you do, just a little bit background on who you are.
I see, yeah. I'm Hiroshi Shimizu. I'm an immigration lawyer, but officially speaking, so administrative scrivener, in Japanese, 行政書士, yeah. And I'm originally born in Nagasaki, and I've been running my office for almost 5 years so far in Maizuru, Fukuoka City. So then my main service is to support visa application and business setup, including registration of the company and applying for something business license in Japan. Yeah, as you know that if applicants want to engage in something real estate business, they need something license.
Yeah.
The kind of so I'm supporting it. So and basically so I'm dealing with foreign nationals and who speak in English actually. So and after lifting of any immigration restrictions, so I've received so many emails from and questions from overseas. I'm being so happy to support it right now.
So can I ask, why did you choose, because you studied law, I guess, and law is not specific when you study. So how did you choose to focus on English speakers or immigration? What made you pursue that one?
Ah, that's a good question. Actually, so I didn't suppose I started kind of business just 5 years ago, but actually, so I worked for real estate company, so completely different field. But actually, so luckily, so I had something license that passed the examination for this English as an English lawyer.
Okay.
Then 5 years ago, so I considered something a turning point. So I convinced that now the time to change my status and my job. Then luckily, so I could make use of this license as an English lawyer, and also I wanted to use the English like a language.
Yeah.
So there's before opening my office, I learned English in UK for a year in 2017. Then after returning to Japan, I opened my office. That's my
So I guess your job is maybe a bit more interesting than like a contract lawyer or a corporate lawyer, because you deal with people from many different countries. But I guess it's also sometimes more challenging, right? Because what are the biggest challenges that you face when somebody new comes to you, they don't know anything about Japan, they just say, I want to live in Japan? What sort of explanations or challenges do you first have to go through usually?
Well, that's interesting. Actually, so my majority of my clients doesn't know about this Japanese, something commercial customs or culture, and also of course kind of how to proceed any sort of business preparation. So and sometimes it's challenging to explain that because they don't have any kind of experience and knowledge about information about the procedures. So the kind of cultural barriers sometimes is challenging to me. But gradually, so actually I feel very comfortable and enjoyable to explaining, and if so they gradually understand and my explanation, and so finally so they are so interested in the moving to Japan or setting up opening the new company or something. They finally so if I could support them, so that's the final goal, and also I feel always happy to support him.
I guess if it's like our business, when we actually prefer customers who say I don't know anything. It's better than customers who think they know, because in their country of residence things work a certain way, and then for some reason they're sure it's going to work exactly the same way in every other country. So those are the ones that need more explaining. Is that the same in your case?
I think so. Actually, but so finally, so they can understand that. How can I say? So
things are different.
Different. Yes, exactly.
So what kind of, obviously because you set up the companies, you also probably deal with a lot of business visas, but aside from business visas, what are the most popular, or let's say easiest visas for people to get when they want to move to Japan?
Well, easiest is quite difficult to say because it depends on their purposes and status wise. So but mainly it's apart from business manager visa. I tend to suggest several something particular status residence like a visa, like special engineer visa or specialist in humanities and international services visa. That is a kind of typical working visa
for people who have those skills.
Yes, okay. That's divided into 3 categories, like engineer and also something the working office workers, and also let's say English teacher as an international services visa. The kind of the categories they have, but it is a quite typical working visa. And also, when it comes to a non-working visa, like student visa to learn Japanese language, and also so enter into the universities, that kind of thing, and also and so nowadays I often deal with son or daughter or grandchild of a Japanese national. who live abroad and so who were born in the US, let's say.
Or Brazil, right? Brazil also has a lot of those, I think.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But for my case, mainly from the US.
Because English speakers.
Exactly. Yeah. So it depends on their status. So I can suggest the best option to them, and also I always focus on their final goal. Basically, they tend to look for a permanent residency, like a PR, in a shortest way. So in this case, maybe they need to choose the best options. Depends on their status. So this is my service, core service, to suggest that, leads them to
which would be the easiest for them in their circumstances.
Right. Yeah.
And the visas that you've mentioned, the engineer and office worker, you said, employee or English teacher, those all require a sponsor, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So what? I guess maybe you can't answer how easy it is to find a sponsor or not, but can you tell us a little bit about what is required from the sponsor side? So if somebody wants to hire someone to come and work for them in Japan, what would be required from the sponsor?
In terms of sponsor, from the sponsor, basically, so applicants need obtain at least bachelor degree. They need to workers need to graduate from university at least. Okay,
so all English teachers who get that kind of visa are university graduates?
Or otherwise, for English teacher, if the English is their mother tongue, and also graduate from university. If they don't graduate from university, in this case, they need at least 3 years of working experience as an English teacher.
Okay.
Otherwise, when it comes to office worker, let's say, in this case, they need to have at least 10 years of working experience. Yeah. Otherwise, obtain the bachelor degree.
So what's classified as office worker experience? Anyone who worked in an office?
Well, it's actually, so they need to have the same job role, like let's say, can I say human resources, or can I say consultant or something, or sales department.
Oh, so in the same kind of sector that they're going to work here in Japan. Okay,
yeah, basically the same job role. So they need to have a kind of more than 10 years working experience.
And how is that experience verified? Does the immigration department call their previous employers, or?
I'm not sure about this whether they can call, but actually, so they need to applicants need to prove that this more than 10 years working experience by showing by such as certificate of employment or certificate of resignation for your previous company.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
The kind of documentation they need to.
And engineers obviously need a degree, right?
Yes, of course, yeah.
And then what are the sponsor's obligations in this case? Do they need to sign a certificate of sponsorship that they will cover any kind of medical or financial expenses? Do they need to promise a minimum salary? What does the sponsor have to fulfill to qualify for bringing that person in?
I would say, first of all, so sponsor needs to sign a contract, like a
employment contract
in advance.
Yeah.
And also when it comes to a monthly salary, and so they need to pay, quite average monthly salary as well, equivalent of the Japanese workers. So that's the requirement. And also sponsor needs to show that they can afford to employ.
Oh, so a financial status of the company and so forth.
Yeah, from side of tax return. Kind of.
And then do they have to give a guarantee that they will take care of any problems with the applicant or anything like that?
Oh, basically they don't need to guarantee.
Okay.
Yeah, they don't need to as a guarantor. But at the same time, so they need to show that they are so, scale of the company. Yes, exactly.
Okay, so just roughly what size company or what size of company revenue qualifies usually? Do you know?
Basically it's categorized into basically 3 categories. And so let me check.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
That's very interesting because I know a lot of smaller companies that actually find it difficult to find employees in Japan and would like to sponsor an employee, but usually we tell them that they have to be a bit bigger. So I'm wondering what the real criteria is.
Yeah, basically, it's categorized into 4 categories.
Okay.
And the first is, the category 1 is like kind of company who went public, like quite a big company.
Yeah.
Right. And category 2 is they filed something tax return regarding withholding tax for salary for their workers.
Yeah.
And at least 10 million Japanese yen. Yeah.
In the last financial year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And the other thing is that it's a small sized company and also a fresh company who has never filed in its tax return just before.
So that is possible. Even if you're just starting a company now, you haven't filed any tax returns, you haven't declared any revenue yet, you could potentially still qualify to sponsor.
Actually, yeah, but in this case, they need to show and submit something, a business plan or something, the objective documents to show there's adequate budget and also they can afford to hire employees. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that topic, the business plan, is a good segue into our next topic, which I wanted to discuss with you, which is the business management visa. So Nippon Bridge, more so than my other company, NTI, but also at NTI, we are regularly approached by people who are establishing or planning to establish some kind of business. The most common one that people initially ask for is if they can just invest in real estate property, and that's a business because they're generating income, so can they get a visa that way? But it's not that simple, is it?
Exactly. Yeah, we faced the similar challenges and we experienced a lot. So and so many potential clients ended up giving up the migrate to move to Japan as an investor because it's very difficult to maintain their real estate business. So just only by investing the property.
Right.
Yeah.
So what does the immigration department needs to see for the business plan to qualify as a business that is eligible for a business management visa? What are the requirements for that?
Are you talking about some real estate investment? Or
any kind of business. Let's say I'm setting up a company. The company might invest in real estate, or it might be a kebab shop, or it might be an English school. Whatever the company is going to be doing, what are the requirements? Because the immigration department, unless it's a startup visa, the immigration department doesn't care about the type of the business as much as of the management of the business and how it actually is structured, right?
Well, yeah, right. Actually, so there are no, limitation over the business industries and the business purposes. Yeah, there are no limitation. So, but at the same time, as you know that, so applicants need to meet the criteria for business manager visa, let's say 5 million yen of investment, and also secure their head office in Japan, the kind of things. And also they need to show that, there's, the status as a business manager. Yeah. So they're eligible for business manager visa.
That means they're experienced to show that they've managed a business before?
Yeah, even though they don't have any business management experience, but something they need to prove that they are, qualified. They are qualified as a business manager. Yeah, objectively, like to show in something, documents or something. Yeah, but a crucial point is that they need to create a quite feasible business plan. Business plan is essential. And also Immigration Bureau might examine something continuity and stability of their business according to business plan.
Okay, so they don't want to see businesses that are going to disappear after 1 year.
Yeah.
So can you, before we get on to how to renew the visa and all of that, can you explain a little bit about maybe successful cases, without names of course, but successful cases of people who applied and received that visa and why you think they were successful?
Well, actually, they can successfully, explaining that there's a feasibility of their business. Yeah, according to the business plan. Yeah, and also of course they prepare for the initial criteria to meeting criteria, like investment 5 million yen and find the office or the kind of they already so done it. Yeah, but actually, so the crucial point is that so they quite focused on the creation of the business plan. Then so I supporting, or sometimes so I
you write the business plans for them. I saw you do that.
sometimes yeah. Because actually so some guys doesn't know about how to create a feasible business plan, and so I have a form of this sample business plan, so they can just initially try to fill in any gaps and so information in it. Then so after that we had a meeting to discuss how to amend, how to improve this business plan, the kind of thing.
Right.
So, yeah.
And so again, the immigration department doesn't have specific industries or types of businesses, but have you seen specific industries or types of businesses that tend to be more successful or easier to create a business plan for?
Well, so actually, currently I don't find any very easy business, the kind of purpose or something.
Oh, is it getting harder these days?
Oh, I think it's becoming, more, how can I say, easier, just in my view. Yeah, because the business purpose is quite depends on their, there's a plan actually. Yeah, so I can't find any, so easy business or difficult business actually. Yeah.
Okay, and then let's say they succeeded with your help, they submitted the business plan, they showed that they have the money to invest. Then what happens in the first year? What do they actually need to do with that money and what sort of revenue do they have to create to then be able to renew? And also how often do they need to renew?
Well, so it depends on their performance, especially in initial years and first fiscal year. And so basically, initially, applicants tend to be granted 1 year of a period of stay as a business manager. So they need to apply for renew and extend of a period of stay in a year. So during this period, so they need to show that good result according, in terms of financial statement, because they tend to finish the first fiscal year. Then so they have already submitted something business plan for their visa application. So we need to check the progress and performance according to the actual result and also a business plan we submitted. Then so basically the crucial point is that they need to get at least net profit. This is crucial. So if it's turned out to be in the red, so they need to consider that how to recover the business the performance in 1 to 3 years of another years. So then they need. I recommend they should create a business plan for their visa renewal so that they could get at least 3 or 5 year of a period of stay. By
showing that they're planning to grow.
Exactly. This is actually it's crucial.
And it's not just any profit. It has to be a minimum. They can't just make 200,000 yen. It needs to be a certain amount, right, to renew the visa.
Actually, so they need to maintain the scale of the company, equivalent of the 5 million yen of capital stock. So and also, preferably they get good sales, and also as I said, the net profit. This is the crucial.
How much profit do they need to show?
There are no criteria, and there are no limit, and so at least it's not they don't have something no deficit.
Okay. So we often tell people, you and I, when we speak to people, we often tell them that they need to try to generate something like 2.3, 2.4, 2.5 million yen in taxable income. So that's not an actual requirement. It's just better chances, or where does this number come from?
As a monthly salary This is crucial to get
Okay.
the salary.
So monthly
2.5
salary
months.
times 12, and
Yeah.
that's why it's 2.4 million
Yeah,
yen.
because
Okay.
this salary would be something one of the expenses, right?
Yeah.
For the financial state, according to some financial statement. So company needs to consider. So after paying any monthly salary to the manager,
Yeah.
so applicants, then finally, so they need to show that the good performance in terms of financial.
And that salary needs to be approximately 200,000 yen a month or more.
It depends on the areas, right? In Tokyo, Fukuoka, or
Okay.
small cities, in terms of cost of living, it's a bit different, right? So, yeah, at least I recommend this. At least they need to get the salary monthly to 150,000 yen, like to 25 万 yen.
Yeah.
So yeah, before tax.
Okay, so that's actually a bit more than 2.4, 2.5 a year. Right.
Yeah,
Okay. So
Yeah.
more is better, always.
more is better, of course.
And then that also gives them a chance to get the visa next time for 3 years or 5 years instead of 1 year.
Yes.
And then how does the switch to permanent residency work? When are they eligible for that?
Well, yeah, it's a bit difficult to say because it could be also several ways options for the applicants. So if they're eligible for highly skilled professional visa, as you know,
Yeah.
if you can use that kind of point system, so in a shortest way, so just more than 1 to 3 years of residing in Japan, they might have a chance to apply for PR. So by using this point calculation.
And that again depends on their certificates and degrees and the skills that they come with, right?
Yeah. A crucial point is that their expected yearly income.
Okay.
Income is very crucial. Yeah, but apart from this highly skilled professional, basically they need to live in Japan more than 10 years.
Okay.
Yeah, this is essential.
And even then, it's not guaranteed. I've had some friends who were refused even after 10 years, right?
Yeah, there are no guarantees, but it is a criteria, one of the criteria. And,
Minimum 10 years.
Yeah, and so when it comes to 10 years of period of stay, so in the latest 5 years, they need to live in Japan with something working visa or something residential visa, like a spouse of a Japanese national or
Right.
something. Yeah.
And then I know that you've mentioned before that for every dependent that the applicant has, the salary needs to be higher, right?
Right. Yeah. So they need to consider their family to take care of their family. So yeah, they need to raise the salary or cost of living. Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Okay, so that's the business management visa, which we talk about on the podcast many times. Let's talk just a little bit before we finish about the more rare or unique types of visas. So we have the startup visa. I know that's one of them.
Yeah.
Recently, there has been talk about a digital nomad visa for people who are actually generating income overseas. That's maybe supposed to come into effect, or they're discussing it now. Do you know anything about that one?
Wow. So I'm not sure about this digital nomad. So legally speaking, so government doesn't allow them to work remotely and so to generate income in Japan. So, but actually, so yeah, when it comes to startup visa, so it's quite becoming more popular, and Japanese applicants are interested in the startup visa because it has something very benefit for them. Basically, for a business manager visa, so they need to complete any business preparation before this application, as you know. But on the contrary, so startup visa, so they don't need to complete any business preparations. After permission, they can engage in something business preparation activities. So.
But that one is limited to particular industries, right?
Oh, just in Fukuoka's case, yeah,
Okay.
they limit the 5 industries, but it depends on the cities. So there are many cities that offers the kind of startup visa. Some cities doesn't restrict the needs of industries.
Oh, really? Which
Exactly.
cities are those?
Oh, for example, so I've supported one of my clients who applied for a startup visa in Imabari city in Matsuya, in Ehime prefecture.
Okay.
It's a small city, isn't it?
Yeah.
But, so they doesn't limit this kind of industries. So actually, so my clients engaged in now, they have successfully get the permission.
Wait, so if I go to Ehime Prefecture, Imabaro City, and I want to set up a, I don't know, Israeli restaurant, I could apply for a startup visa?
Of course.
That's brilliant.
But
Okay.
actually, so my clients now have engaged in the accommodation business.
Accommodation business,
like
okay.
a Minpaku business. Right?
So that does tie into a kind of real estate investment, right? I guess.
Yeah. Right.
Okay. And then the is there anything like a retirement visa in Japan? If somebody can show that they have a lot of money and they want to live here in their retirement years and spend their money in Japan, is there any option for people like that?
And of course, yeah. So actually, to one particular, special, like visa for rich people. Yeah. So just they can live in Japan. Of course, it's so they can't work, but they are allowed to live in Japan up to 1 year. Yeah. So to show that they're adequate savings. Yeah. Then so basically, so they can live in Japan up to 1 year. This is kind of a special visa for rich people. And
Is that extendable? Can they then
no
renew?
extendable,
Not
just only
extendable.
up to 1 year. Yeah.
Forever, for their entire lifetime. They'll
Exactly.
only ever get it for just 1 year.
Yeah, 1
Okay.
year. So after that, so they need to consider if you want, they need to want to continue to stay in Japan. Maybe that they need to find something, particular status of residence to live in Japan. Yeah.
Okay. Are there any other types of visas that we haven't discussed? Special, unique? I know that you help some people with spouse visas too, for example, but anything else?
Wow, unique. So it's very difficult to say.
Like, I know there's an artist or entertainment visa or something like that.
Honestly, I haven't dealt with kind of artist visa and entertainment visa because when it comes to artist visa, it's quite challengeable. It's quite challenging to apply. They need to show that kind of, status or result, and their eligibility of the artist to show something hours or, something. They show the, something result. Yeah. So it's quite challenging. So
They have to really be a successful artist to apply for that, I guess.
Yeah. So, but I've never come across. Yeah.
And then, last question, and then we're going to let you go. What sort of level of Japanese is required, either really required by criteria or just that you think is advisable for people who want to move to Japan and get a visa?
A visa. What kind of visa would you say?
Let's say a normal skilled or employee who then wants to turn into a PR. Is there any Japanese level requirement?
Actually, so there are no requirements.
Officially.
Yeah, officially, because if the one company doesn't require any Japanese language among their employees, they something have English as a common language sometimes. Yeah, in this case, they don't need to require, and so the applicants doesn't need to show something in Japanese language like as level actually. Yeah, it depends on the employer. Basically, yeah, actually. So, but actually, so when it comes to criteria for working visa, there are no requirement of the Japanese language.
And then
So,
to get a permanent residency?
no requirement.
Also no requirement.
Yeah.
Is there any visa that has any official Japanese level requirement?
Oh, basically student visa.
Student visa?
Yeah,
Okay.
to enter into university. But basically, they government requires at least N2 levels or Japanese language level.
So that they can study.
Yeah.
Okay.
But actually, so when it comes to Japanese language exam, if the applicants passed the N2 or N1, so they can make use of this their status for calculation for the highly skilled professional visa.
Okay. But as we know, official policy doesn't mean you don't need to speak Japanese, because when you actually go to the immigration department even, not many people speak English there, right?
Actually, I think so.
And of course, if you want to set up a business or you want to set up a company or apply for a real estate tenancy lease, all of those tasks require either a certain level of Japanese or somebody who can support you in Japanese, right?
Right, yeah. Actually, this is, I think, one of the difficulties for applicants to engage in something business preparations. As you know that they need to, when it comes to business manager visa, they need to register the company, or sometimes they need to have their articles for incorporation certified notary, local notary public, the kind of thing.
Yeah.
Actually, so it's very difficult to deal with just only in English.
Yeah.
They are required something Japanese language, something in sometimes conversation. So yeah, it's kind of language barriers still exist. So I can mediate, and sometimes I can support them in terms of language, and also of course the procedures, entire procedures. Yeah.
So the business plan is also needs to be submitted in Japanese.
In Japanese.
In Japanese.
Yeah,
Okay.
yes.
So obviously they need somebody to translate it if they don't speak Japanese. Do you do that? Do you do translations for them too?
Yeah, I can do that.
Lucky. Okay. Thank you very much for your time. It was great having you on. I hope to see you again soon.
Yeah, my pleasure. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, so that was a good chat. Hope it brought you as much value as it brought me. I definitely had some aha moments there, as you've probably noticed. A couple of assumptions that I've been making that were incorrect, or at least inaccurate. So huge thanks to Shimizu-san for coming on the show. And if you'd like to reach out to him, he generously provides his first consultation free of charge. And I highly recommend you take advantage of it if you're planning to move to Japan. Reach out to him on japanimmigrationexperts.com. We'll link to it in this episode's show notes as well, of course, or just drop us a line in the comment section and we'll put you directly in touch with him. And if you are interested in real estate, we just briefly touched on it in this episode. The Japan Real Estate Summit Autumn 2023 version is kicking off on the 22nd of October in Shibuya, Tokyo. If you're interested in that at all, realestate.jp is where you'll find all the information that you need. Now, if you found value in this podcast, we'd really love it if you could like, subscribe, and even better, share the episode with anyone in your network who might also find value in it. And of course, leave us a review or a comment wherever you might have found this podcast. Your word of mouth is our oxygen, and it helps us reach more and more and more people who might find value in the topics that we cover here. We love hearing from you. And of course, if you want to be on the podcast, either as a sponsor, we can definitely put you in the ears of anyone interested in moving to Japan, or even better, as a guest, either via recorded conversation or just send in your questions, audio, video, written form. We'll try to give you the answers you're looking for. Just drop us a line here in the comment section or via DM or on email, info@nipponbridge.com. That's info, info@NIPPON, nipponbridge.com. All one word. We want to know what you think. Hope to have you with us again next time. And until then, have a great day or night ahead. Yoroshiku.